Hi everyone, my name is Lucia, and today I'll be presenting my thoughts and tips on leading cross-functional teams. Prior to going into the details, I'll give you a bit of context about myself, as I think it's always nice to listen and understand who you're listening to in these sorts of events. So in terms of that, after studying business and finance, I started off my career as a strategy consultant in strategy and PwC. And then eventually I transitioned to the world of product management and have worked on leading cross-functional teams ever since. As a product manager and cross-functional leaders, I have worked on a wide set of problems. So from conversion, search and discoverability, internationalization, trust and safety, to most recently working on growth for Europe in Shopify. With this, despite the wide-ranging problems that I have worked on, the main principles of leading high-performing, cross-functional, and collaborative teams are, in my opinion, company and problem agnostic. So hopefully this will be useful for you regardless of what company or team you work for. With this in mind, what are cross-functional teams? So cross-functional teams, just so we're all in the same page, are teams that encompass all the disciplines required to deliver a certain project. So in the world of product, cross-functional teams should involve everyone needed to strategize, ideate, design, build, launch, sell, and even support a product. In this way, in an ideal cross-functional team, you should have quite a diverse set of skills, which include design, it includes developers, QA, marketing, sales, customer support, and basically anyone else whose work is required to deliver value to your customer in a specific project. So with this, now that we're hopefully all in the same page in terms of what cross-functional teams mean, how do you actually lead cross-functional teams? First of all, it's important to highlight that the product manager role tends to be a cross-functional role by its very nature. So in this sense, it can be easy to start thinking that to lead cross-functional teams, you have to build an empire and, I don't know, lead your own life story of Game of Thrones. But effectively, if you're a product manager, you're probably leading a cross-functional team already. With this in mind, it's also true that leading a cross-functional team successfully is not necessarily easy. In this sense, if you're a new leader, everyone around you can be quite skeptical about whether you're needed for the team to be successful. And in fact, if you are successful at being a leader, doing your job well actually translates into the team feeling like they don't need you at all when you're off on holiday, because they have enough context and enough of a sense of direction that they don't need to rely on you when you're gone. As a cross-functional leader, you're also highly accountable for the success of your team. But at the same time, you have no direct authority whatsoever to lead. In this form, as a cross-functional leader, the key to your success will be to create the right balance between team alignment and team autonomy. In terms of team alignment, you will need to ensure that the team remains aligned on their mission, their overall objectives for the coming months, and what goals you are striving to hit. With this, your team should be completely aligned on which problems should be addressed, why they should be addressed, and in what order. In contrast, if the designers are designing for a specific problem, the developers are then implementing a solution for another problem, and sales is selling a different solution, then your team can be meeting in whatever frequency you want, but it will still not be a cross-functional team. This is what we would typically call functional teams working in silos. The same time, as a cross-functional leader, your job is not to be the person that generates all of the ideas. This would, in essence, diminish the overall performance of the team. It would decrease productivity, decrease creativity, and morale. Your job is to create alignment. And to achieve this alignment, communication is key. And there are some basic principles I have on making communication smooth in cross-functional teams, and I'll share them with you in case they're useful for you as well. The first principle is to communicate simply and clearly. For this, storytelling, for instance, can drive the mission home and create alignment on the vision and the strategy. At the same time, I must say it's important overall to just not overcomplicate the message. The second principle is to never tell team members how they should do something. Should remind them what the ultimate end goal is that you want to achieve as a team. Because if you do this, team members will actually often surprise you with new and sometimes even more efficient solutions to address the problem. The third principle is the fact that overcommunication is rarely an issue. So you should meet regularly to create psychological safety, to remove blockers, and also to encourage idea sharing. With effective communication, you will be able to ensure that the strategy and vision is consistent across the team. And with this, every single team member will then be able to deliver value to customers and to contribute to the overall success of the team with complete autonomy. And as I mentioned, as a cross-functional leader, the key to your success will be to create the right balance between team alignment and team autonomy. And in order to achieve team autonomy, this second part of the balance, you will need to build relationships on trust. And in order to build relationships on trust, there are other key factors which I would also like to share with you in case they're useful for you as well. First of all, the golden rule of trust is to put yourself in other people's shoes. For me, then, the platinum rule on trust is to think how the other person would think. If the team is diverse enough, putting yourself in someone else's shoes is simply not enough. Who are you to say that how you feel and think is how someone else should feel and think in the same situation? Thinking how the other person would think allows much more room for empathy, which is key for trust. The second factor is the fact that you should be honest and transparently. In this sense, if there's any red flags, communicate them early. Just keep everything very honest, very transparent. The third factor is the fact that we should be building trust gradually. So don't expect too much too soon, because that creates unnecessary stress with the team, which in turn diminishes trust. You should also understand what you own end to end. You need to understand the strategy end to end. You need to understand the market, the competitive landscape, your customers. You need to understand the company's strengths, the weaknesses, so that everyone can trust you to create a sense of direction. And last, but by no means least, recognize others. If something goes wrong in my team, it's my responsibility. If something goes right, it was because of them, not me. With this, I'll wrap up for today, simply thanking you for listening in. And if you have any thoughts or feedback, please feel free to reach out via LinkedIn. Thank you very much.